Welcome to the jungle. I'm your host, Andy Garza, President and CEO of Big Guerilla Sales and Marketing Training. Here in the Jungle podcast for all the hungry entrepreneurs, you'll hear firsthand experiences from business owners of how they overcame challenges on their road to success. Every week, we'll have a different business owner from every walk of life. If you want to learn more about guerrilla marketing, visit biggorillamarketing.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Big Guerilla Marketing.
Welcome to the jungle. This is Andy Garza, your host, and today, it's the beginning of the year, and a lot of businesses come up with, their goals, and you come up with your own personal goals, and these are all important. Well, one of the things I've noticed though over the years is about this time, there's a lot of some of the most successful people in the world really come up with some tips of success. And one of the people I follow is a gentleman by the name of Charlie Munger. And many of you may know who he is. He is the longtime business partner of Warren Buffett. And together, they have amassed a fortune of a company that's worth $991 billion. So when they come up with a list, I tend to want to read it. And I'm going to share some things with you from that list because some things really caught my eye. And they caught my eye because over the years, it was a philosophy that I gravitated to early on in my life and have carried it for 45 years plus. But Charlie Munger has a list of 10 things. I'm going to share 5 of them with you. And the reason is because of the 10 tips of success, 5 of them have to do with learning, which is pretty interesting, and the way they approach it. And first one is realize and know that you don't know what you don't know. And that's very important to understand that statement. There are a lot of things that I don't know, and there are a lot of things that I don't even know what I don't know on certain subjects and certain things about business. And the reason he brought that up was because you can't do everything yourself. You don't know everything about a business. You know what your expertise is, and mine happens to be marketing. But I don't know about the back end of the business. I got to hire that out to somebody who does know, because there's things that I don't even know exist that I should be concerned about. They know it, but I personally don't. So that's why you have to realize that you don't know everything. Next one, and this one hit me really about the hardest, is always keep learning. And that is so important. Now, Charlie Munger recently had passed away on November 28th of 2023, just a little over a month ago. He had passed away at the age of 99. And to that day, he had practiced, him and Warren Buffett both, a regiment of learning. Every day, they set aside an hour just to learn about something new. And always keep learning. Now, that was one that, since I was probably, I can remember being age 12, and I really decided that I was just going to be a sponge, learn everything I could. I grew up, basically, I'm going to tell you how it is. I grew up a very poor Mexican kid. My dad was a paper worker with 9 kids. I was the next to the last kid. And we grew up in a blighted neighborhood. I was very poor, but I had some ambitions. I would go every day, walk about 8 blocks from my house to the Lincoln dealership to look at new Lincoln Continentals. This is back in like the early 70s. And I was fascinated by them. And I thought, one day I'm going to own one of these. And I kept doing that. And then when I got to be old enough to get a job, my very first job was a sales job, I posted, at that time I changed it to a Cadillac, and I posted a picture of the Cadillac that I wanted at my desk. And eventually, and that was at age 19, I did own a brand new Continental at age 19. That was kind of a fluke. That wasn't one that I felt that I earned. I just happened to fall into it. It's kind of a long story, but anyways, but by age 20, I was at my first sales job. I posted a new Cadillac at my desk, big picture of it. And by age 25, I realized that goal. I bought a brand new Cadillac at age 25. I was in a position that I earned that in sales that I could afford a brand new Cadillac. And then I kept going. I kept having, that was my thing. I always drove luxury cars from, age 19, and I still do. but that was just my thing. I just like the feel of the car for my own well-being. But anyways, every time I got a different sales job, and it took me a while to get my niche. I mean, I tried a different sales job, but I did everything I could to be successful at it. And for the most part, I was successful at most of the sales jobs I had. But every time I always wanted to learn what it took to be a top salesperson at any position I had. That was my ambition, to be the top salesperson. And I did that 4 times in my life. I achieved top sales status in 4 different industries, all because I wanted to learn how to do it. Not because I had some, innate natural ability. I learned it. I was a sponge to anybody who would teach me anything. And so always keep learning was so important in my life's journey, and it's taken me up to this point right now. I'm still learning. So that one hit me hard, that somebody else had that reality of setting aside time to learn. I've created 4 businesses out of nothing, all of them successful. I've been in 4 different industries of sales. I've been a top tier salesperson in all 4 of those industries nationwide. And I'm still wanting to learn. There are still things I don't know out there. Somebody has a better idea, builds a better mousetrap. I want to learn. I'm essentially retired, and I still want to learn. I'll always want to learn about different things. So that one is a very important one to me.
Now for a quick break to thank our sponsors: Awaken Marketing, Awaken New Possibilities, Griner Law Group, Small Business Showcase Magazine, celebrating the small business spirit, M&D Advertising, Creations Beyond Expectations, and Big Guerilla Sales and Marketing Training, bringing out your inner gorilla.
So that one is a very important one to me. Another thing is his number 3 is help others learn. That's so important, because I don't care what position you're in, if you're in a management position or if you're a top salesperson, if you're helping others learn, it just helps you. It sharpens your skills because you're teaching somebody else. And a lot of times when you're teaching, especially somebody that's, a subordinate, that if you teach them and they are successful, it makes you more successful. And that worked for me also. I spent extra time, extra hours, after hours, store will be closing, and I'm teaching classes of how to, be prepared to go on to the next level to people who were interested in it. And it was done for me. That's how I became more successful, is because somebody reached out and said, hey, you want to learn more? I'll teach you. And a lot of times I was the only one that, there wasn't a class, it was just me. And they would close the store down at 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. Instead of going out and partying, I was there with a manager going over things that would make me more prepared to be in management. And we did that for months. And he was willing to do it. And because he had people ready to go, it made him look better. And eventually it paid off for him too. He got promoted also to a high executive position. Anyways, teaching somebody things that is always going to benefit you. And that was very important with me. Another one that Charlie Munger's come and says about learning is take time to think. A lot of people try to multitask, and I can think while I'm doing this. Well, no, you can't. When you take time specifically to think away from everybody else, whatever, if it's go on a walk or whatever you have to do to set yourself apart from everything, so your mind is clear and you can just take time to think. He says that you'll be amazed on how many solutions you come up with through your day's obstacles by just taking time to think every day. And I thought that was a very, very smart tip. And then one that took me a little bit to kind of dissect is learn from frugal experiments. And if you have an idea and you don't know if it's going to work or not, you've done the thought process, the devil's advocate, and then you go ahead and try what your theory is, and don't go all in. You would try it to the point where you give yourself a good chance of knowing if it's going to work or not. It's so important to actually go ahead and do it. That's where most people fail, is they'll think about it and they'll talk themselves out of it before they even try it. He says if you try things you have to jump in 2 feet because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Because if it fails, then it could, hurt you. But trying it is all the battle. You got to give yourself at least that chance. That maybe your theory is right on, spot on, and it will help you. But you have to give it a chance. You have to actually do it, try it. Give it what you can, and see if it works, and see if it's going to be an asset to your position. So that I thought was a very interesting one too. But those are his tips, and there are a lot of other ones out there. Warren Buffett has his own tips of success. But Charlie Munger's, he's a brilliant man. He's actually an attorney, and he turned investor, and and investing in businesses and real estate. And so he's amassed with Warren Buffett an amazing empire. And when he talks about things, and I've heard a lot of talks over the years, the last couple of years, and he's always talking about his general philosophy of how he conducts himself and what he spends time doing. And learning was a big part of that up until the day he died. And he's taught me some things that, ways of thinking that opened my eyes. And literally at my age, I don't have any reason to learn anything else, but I always do anyways, because of somewhere, some of this knowledge, and I gotta tell you a little bit of story. I have my oldest son is basically a rock musician. He's a recording artist. He's produced some records. He's a recording engineer, and he's like the furthest thing from, other than being a musician. I was a musician when I was young, but I gave it up early on when I got married. And but he's in his going on his late 30s, and he is now in a position that he wants to master marketing in the music business. Marketing and the things that I talked about over the years. He came up to me, and this is very recent, the last couple of weeks. He says, Dad, I didn't think in a million years that I'd ever be interested in anything that you do for myself. He says, I'm glad you did well for the family and for yourself on the things that you know how to do. He says, I never thought I'd use any of it until now. He says, now I remember all the things that you talked about, and now I'm putting it into a side of me that I have become an innovator in marketing in the music industry. And he accredited some of the things that I had taught him over the years, which really floored me, because I never thought in a million years. I mean, he was so far away from marketing and sales. He's never done that. He's always been in the music and pursuing that career for probably almost 20 years, more than 20 years of his life. Since he got his first guitar when he was 12 years old for Christmas. And that was all it took. And he was in music, and then went on to college for engineering, and he's made a name for himself out there. So anyways, that was kind of a shock to me. So that's why I never stopped learning myself. I never know where even the knowledge I have that I share with certain people might develop or help them in any way. But the philosophy of always learning and teaching other people things has always stuck with me, and I really appreciated the list that Charlie Munger come up with. Anyways, that's kind of some thoughts as you put your goals together and your own personal goals. Some of these thoughts on could be very useful in building a company. From a one-man show on up, as soon as you get some employees, to expand your business. These tips are going to be very helpful for you. So that's all I have today. So I wish everybody a great year coming up, and I think it will be a great year. And it's all in the way you look at things. And we'll talk to you next time. And this is Andy Garza, your host, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to learn more about guerrilla marketing, visit bigguerillamarketing.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Big Guerilla Marketing.
To thank our sponsors: Awaken Marketing, Awaken New Possibilities, Griner Law Group, Small Business Showcase Magazine, celebrating the small business spirit, M&D Advertising, Creations Beyond Expectations, and Big Guerrilla Sales and Marketing Training, bringing out your inner gorilla.